Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here. Welcome back to Tesla Daily. Today we've got a really nice day for the stock to talk about. Best day in a few months, actually. Of course, we've got updates on Project Highland and Cybertruck, a new adopter of NACS, and a few other items as well. So looking at the stock, a nice bounce back for Tesla today after a challenging past month, as we have talked about. But actually the best day for Tesla since March 21st, so 5 months to the day, with Tesla closing up 7.3% to $231.28. While the Nasdaq with a nice day as well, up 1.6% today. So personally, I think this is largely just a bounce back, but a couple of things that could have contributed to it today, one of which is Baird Equity Research adding Tesla to their best ideas list, saying that price cuts and impact on margins are going to drive the narrative for the second half of the year, but there's a lot of other potential catalysts for the stock, including launch of Cybertruck, adoption of full self-driving, and expansion into new markets. So nothing earth-shattering, of course, in that analysis, and I think you can add Project Highland potentially to that as well. Certainly possibility of continued strong Tesla energy results. Plenty of things to still look forward to, but I do agree with the first part there that it is going to hinge on pricing and margins, and probably more so than anything else, just macro conditions and what the market does during this period. Still, nice to have somebody put a reminder out that there are things to look forward to. The other news that came out really late on Friday, maybe helping a bit today, is that Honda and Acura being the luxury brand of Honda, announced that they are also planning to adopt NACS, or the North American Charging Standard. It's been a bit since we had the flurry of automakers making these announcements, so a good reminder that these can still continue, although not a particularly surprising one because Honda does work on EVs closely with GM. They're going to use the Ultium platform. So with GM having been one of the earliest to announce adoption of NACS, no surprise to see Honda and Acura follow suit. And although these are obviously significant ICE brands, not a whole lot of progress yet on EVs for Honda. Alright, next up we've got what have become our daily updates on Highland and Cybertruck, starting off with Project Highland. A new drone video of Giga Shanghai from Jason Yang shows what seems to be a number of covered cars, maybe 100 or so, in the Giga Shanghai parking lot, and this is during the period of time where sort of initial production or test production is supposed to be starting according to rumors, so no way of knowing for sure if those would be Project Highland Model 3s, but there are other cars here sitting uncovered, so Tesla must have some reason for the difference. We have seen vehicles that have been covered in the Giga Shanghai parking lots before, so it's not necessarily indicative of anything, but obviously if the production rate for Highland gets to be high enough, they're going to have to put those cars somewhere. Hopefully that's the stage that we're seeing right now. As for Cybertrucks, the sightings have continued both in transport and at Giga Texas. But in addition to that, we've got a couple of posts of Tesla seemingly doing some filming of the Cybertruck in Iceland. Carlos Ardea on X sharing a post of some of this filming happening. And then another Facebook group for Tesla shared an image of the Cybertruck, also saying that this was in Iceland. And in this image, you can see some of the filming equipment a little bit more closely. So it seems like Tesla is doing some promo videos. Oftentimes we see these prior to Tesla updating their website. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the videos that are being shot here on an updated Cybertruck page in the relatively near future. And of course, when Tesla does have the Cybertruck delivery event, they're definitely going to want to have some nice cinematic footage ready to go for that. So that's my best guess for what's happening here, which is another encouraging sign for the status of the Cybertruck right now. And then separately on the Cybertruck, we do have a rumor. This is from Bill Wright on X, who at times in the past has had some information that has come to fruition. The track record's not 100%, but most recently, the one that I recall is, I think, some Magic Dock stuff and Tesla opening up the supercharger network. So there have been times where this information has been accurate in the past. But anyway, this weekend on X, he is saying that the employee Cybertruck deliveries seem imminent. Word around the Speedboat Cafe is the company is soliciting interest of those to take early delivery, dual motor or tri-motor. So that could suggest that Tesla has shifted back to the tri-motor configuration as the top of the line versus the quad motor that Elon had at one point mentioned. And of course the timing component is interesting, but at this stage this would be, I think, relatively easy to speculate on. But hopefully this is accurate. They also said in a later post that it is, quote, weeks, I'm told, end quote. Something in the second half of September or maybe early October would seem to fit best with that. All right, next we've got some reporting on Tesla and India. This has kind of been making the rounds, so I wanted to comment on it. This stems from a report from Carversal, which says that one of their readers has sent them a few images of a Tesla Model Y in a Mahindra test facility in Pune. Mahindra does make electric vehicles themselves, so the conclusion of this article, which says that this is a sign that Tesla's launch in India with the Model Y is imminent, Seems pretty premature. They say that, quote, this Tesla is in Mahindra's Pune testing facility as it offers optimal driving conditions for the Indian terrain and also has a wide range of testing fields to test various capabilities of a car, which makes it a first choice for car makers to test their cars in India before a full on-road camouflage testing, end quote. I suppose that's possible. I don't know, it seems a little bit outside of Tesla's normal style. Something that seems a little bit more likely to me would be Mahindra just bringing a Model Y there to benchmark test against. And looking at these photos, I don't know if it's just weird lighting or something, but there seems to be some pretty significant dents in this vehicle. Could definitely happen with a test vehicle, but I'm not taking this one random Model Y with a bunch of dents in it as any sign of anything happening imminently in India. Next, then, we've got some new comments from Malaysia's Prime Minister on the possibility of Tesla investing further in the country. Obviously, we know Tesla just launched there. But in an interview with CNBC, Malaysia's Prime Minister talked about some of the advantages that Tesla investing in Malaysia could bring, saying, quote, for example, if Tesla comes in and can benefit 3 or 4 local industries, to me, it's as good as putting 30% equity. In fact, in terms of real advantage and returns to the economy, that is better, end quote. So maybe not the best comments for generating negotiating leverage with Tesla during some of these presumed conversations, but nice to see the recognition of the benefits that a Tesla investment could yield in other areas of industry. My read on the comment is that those benefits outweigh any sort of equity stake that Malaysia itself could have, whether that be from a joint ventureship or some other type of structure. The CNBC host then asked if Tesla would be building cars end-to-end in Malaysia. He said, quote, well, it's a bit too premature for me to commit that they are doing it, but what is important is that we do have the capacity to produce parts of batteries which are required in the car, end quote. That comment in isolation kind of makes it sound like they wouldn't be building end-to-end vehicles, but other comments from the interview did mention that something like that could make sense for Tesla because they have those materials locally there in Malaysia. So we'll see what happens there, but as we know, at least some conversations about Tesla making further investments in Malaysia. All right, next up we've got a new Tesla app update for iOS, which adds the capability to integrate Apple shortcuts to allow Tesla to work with Siri for a number of different vehicle control functions like opening the trunk, setting the temperature, preconditioning the vehicle. Pretty extensive list of controls that would normally run through the app can now be connected with Siri, so nice to see that. Couple interesting things outside of Tesla. First, on the UAW, some new comments from the UAW president, Sean Fain, saying during negotiations, which have now started off with a handshake with union members rather than the traditional handshake with the automotive companies, that, quote, there's no point in having a big pomp and ceremony where we act like we're all friends and we're working together when we're not. The membership comes first. That's our job, end quote. So we've highlighted this before, but obviously when your employees are making comments like that, not really a glowing indicator of cohesiveness within the organization, to say the least. Those comments, I think, are pretty telling regardless of what happens with negotiations, but it's going to get interesting here as those transpire. The deadline for their current contracts is September 14th, so I expect to continue to hear more about this over the next month. And we've also got an interesting update on Cruise, as we had talked about last week, or maybe the week prior. Cruise and Waymo had been given permission to expand their operations in San Francisco, operate 24/7, charge for all rides. But shortly after that, a Cruise disruption has caused the city to immediately mandate that Cruise reduce its operations by 50%, while the city evaluates some of the incidents and disruptions that have been caused so far. So a bit of a setback for Cruise, obviously, and potentially a setback for autonomy in general if these types of disruptions cause regulation to be more strict. All right, last couple of things then, just a quick look at the calendar for this week. We talked about it last week, but we will have new comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell on Friday, worth monitoring. And then also this week, NVIDIA is set to report earnings after market close on Wednesday. After last quarter, we know how impactful that was to the overall market. So this is going to be one to watch. It'll probably, again, have a pretty big impact on the overall market. And then the last thing for today, just want to quickly note that yesterday, August 20th, was the 6th anniversary of the first episode of Tesla Daily being published. It's been a pretty crazy run here, so I just wanted to say a quick thank you for all of the support over the years. I want to say thank you to my editor, Jasem, of course, all the supporters on Patreon, on ShareLoft, the other projects I've been working on. It's really been an awesome experience, and again, just want to say thank you for all of the support over the years. It really has meant the world to me. So thank you. And that is where we'll leave it for today. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe and sign up for notifications. Also find me on X at Tesla Podcast. And we'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday, August 22nd episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.